Epicurus and the Epicureans, the school of the Epicurists, is obviously all around their founder, Epicurus, who was born in Samos in 341 BC. The Epicureans are also called garden philosophers, because the Epicurean school took place in the philosopher's garden. In reality, more than a philosophical school, it was a true religious association, in which Epicurus himself took on a central, almost divinity-like role. And it is also one of the few philosophical schools in which women actively participate, and at the center of this philosophical school were friendship and solidarity. In fact, one of their maxims was, "Behave as if Epicurus saw you." Exactly as for the Stoics, and as in general the philosophies of the Hellenistic era, philosophy becomes the cure for achieving happiness. In fact, Epicurus, when he talks about philosophy, defines it as a quadripharmaceutical. These four medicines are free from the fear of the gods, free from the fear of death, demonstrate the accessibility of pleasure, demonstrate the distance from evil. These four drugs are practically four practical objectives that philosophy must achieve in order to purify the soul of man. Epicurean philosophy is divided into three parts: canonical logic, physics, and ethics. Logic is called canonical because it is the criterion of truth, that is, canon, the rule capable of orienting man's life towards happiness. The canon is actually divided into sensations, anticipations, and emotions. These three elements for Epicurus constitute the basis of logic. Sensations are produced by images that are created by the flow of atoms produced by things. In short, what Epicurus, who is also linked to Democritus and atomism, tells us is that objects are made up of this flow of atoms, which as if emanates this sensation that we are able to capture. Democritus told us all things are made of atoms, and now Epicurus, when we do physics, will also explain how they move. It is as if these atoms vibrate when they make up objects, and this comes to us and we see things. From these images that the human being deduces, man can also derive fantastic representations, the union of two or more images, the little mermaid, the centaur, dragon. These sensations that man receives are gradually preserved in memory. These images become previews of future concepts. These three elements represent the criterion of truth, because Epicurus tells us that the sensation is always true, because it reflects something that we see and perceive. If the sensation is always true, the anticipation will also always be true. For Epicurus, evidence, the incontrovertible manifestation of things, makes the image and sensation real. Emotions are the third criterion of truth, and they are pleasure and pain. These emotions accompany the sensations. Example, fire, which is hot, generates a sensation of pleasure, but if I touch it, it causes me pain. Man has the ability to make what is pleasure true and what is pain evil. These three concepts are the criterion of truth, but man also falls into error. Therefore the error hides in judgments. In opinion, it is not in itself that is wrong, but the opinion that does not adhere to real facts is false. Through the intellect we reason about whether an opinion is based on facts or not, in which case it becomes true. Epicurus excludes any supernatural force from the explanation of the world and from a cosmological conception, so much so that Epicurean physics is mechanistic. It does not have a goal and materialist. Epicurus takes Democritus as the basis of his physics, and that therefore everything that exists is body, and the body is made up of atoms. The only thing that exists that does not have a body is the void, because it has a physical function. Atoms have different shapes, and although their number is incalculable, they are not infinite. He excludes this divine order of the world because evil exists, so much so that he tells us that there are two solutions. Either the divinities that exist are not omnipotent, or they have no interest in caring about the world. The atoms that are in the vacuum are not stationary in the vacuum, but rather fall into the vacuum all at the same speed, in a straight line and without ever touching each other. They fall until they touch something. The clinamen, that is, the random deviation of an atom that leads to a movement and aggregation of atoms and sensitive things. There is no ordering function that moves the atoms. It was a coincidence, and this is also fundamental on an ethical level. Man is completely free. He is not ordered by anything or anyone, if not by chance itself.